Awesome. Awesome.
Hey,
All right, guys. Hey, welcome to episode 3, LA Kings Corner podcast. Today, I'm Ryan Marvin. Today, welcoming Corey Marvin, Joshua Norris, and Dustin Marvin. Today's going to be a quick breakdown on game 2, and then reset and reboot as the Kings head into game 3. We're going to start off with a quick little 2-minute take on game 2. Dustin, I'm going to have you go ahead and kick us off.
yeah. First things getting Gabe already back in the lineup was just a huge addition to the lineup. I thought I read a little bit from just what he had said after the game, where it took him a little bit of time to get back in the game. I feel like he was the only guy who had a valid excuse for a slow start. I was a little shocked to see the rest of the lineup come out slow, but again, was just impressed with they stuck with the game plan, even though they got down too quickly, and to see them fight back in the second was huge, and to see Gabe get on the score sheet was awesome. And I think we were talking about a little bit earlier that we really had a chance to get 2 goals in the last final minute to kind of just for a back-breaking moment in the Oilers, and I really think that was the difference. That our fourth line couldn't capitalize, and their fourth line ended up capitalizing in the third period. So that, to me, was really just one of the pivotal moments of the game, and not being able to steal game 2 and come home up 2-0.
Absolutely. Excellent. Well said. Well said, Dust. Nice job keeping it tight. 2-minute take. Josh, what are your thoughts on game 2?
Yeah, so that's interesting what the game plan actually is on the road to win playoff games on the road. And I believe that the game plan is hang around and try to it's an appropriate word, steal the games. Try to find a way to scam 2 road wins in Edmonton. And with apologies to the analytics people who would say, so what, the game plan is to get down 2-0? No, obviously that's not the game plan, but the game plan is to hang around and not let it get to 3. Because what do you do when you're playing with ultimately who is a team that right now is superior to us? And so then so what, one player makes a difference in Kevin Fiala? My answer to that is yes. One player can absolutely make a difference in the series. Well, real quick so very simple cliches in hockey. It's a 60-minute effort, particularly in playoffs. We put towards 40 minutes effort. We didn't put 60 and we lost the game. Right. So, but from a quick psychological perspective, one thing I've noticed maybe flying under the radar of the series is there's very much a Canadian World Junior versus USA World Junior dynamic to the series, where it's Edmonton really believes that they're bigger, faster, stronger than us, and maybe they are right now, but that mentality hasn't really done them any service. I think they get caught running around and they're the ones taking penalties now, and then it's not so fun when the rabbit has the gun and when we're on the power play. Now, we didn't capitalize on any of those 4 opportunities we had last night. That's a bit unfortunate. That's another thing, but I don't know that mentality that the Oilers have right now. You see, Jay Woodcroft came out and said, "Oh, we only had 1 opportunity and we scored on it." They're the ones fixated on the refs and sort of blaming people for the split. Anyhow, throw it back to you, Marv.
Nice. Well said. Well said. Definitely an interesting look, and bringing in the Canadian mentality to the opponent. But I really liked the verbiage there that you used with, stealing a game right on the road. So well said. Core, 2-minute take.
2-minute take. Just love being here. That's my take. I love you guys. I was really hoping that we were going to steal that game. I really thought we had a chance. To be honest with you, we were down 2-0. Jen got home with Aiden, and I freaking screamed right as she walked in the door. I scared her half to death. And she walked in, she's like, "Wow, you scared me." I'm like, "Babe, you did it. You did it. Dano scored, Daddy-O. Let's go." Right as she walked in the door, we scored. They got another one. I mean, she couldn't have been here for more than 10 minutes of the game, and we almost went up 3-2 in those 10 minutes, right? So yeah, like Dustin said, like we talked about so far, definitely not the way that like the Kings have been known to win their hockey games with this team. Like over the last couple of years, I feel like they've always done well, playing with a lead, getting that first goal, kind of getting to their game early on. But the fact that, things have not gone their way early and that they have been able to at least battle back. They got the first one done, with some help from, like Josh said, Edmonton running around, taking stupid penalties. We were able to capitalize late the game one. Game two, getting those 2 goals was huge after not being able to score. I love the fight. I love that there seems to be this kind of calmness, sense of belief that like they're not out of it. But my big takeaway is going to be the start. I texted you guys all last night. I don't know what was going on, and I guess we've all been there. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get your legs going. But yeah, man, their legs looked like they were in quicksand in the first period. There, it was tough to watch. It looked like they were trying, but their legs weren't working, or something was going on, and there was a brain to leg disconnect. It was tough, and maybe Edmonton was coming out with their best pop early. But so yeah, I'm gonna hope the Kings next game they get a better start, and maybe don't have to come back from such a big deficit, early on in the game.
Yeah, I heard there was a report in Edmonton that in warmups, the Kings had to funnel some pucks back down to Edmonton's end because the Zamboni guys were flooding Edmonton just to kind of tilt the ice a little bit in the first period. Is that what it looked like? I don't know.
Well, I was genuinely wondering if people ever like change the ice and like you don't know to go to not as deep of a hollow, or if that's a thing at all. But I don't know. The ice is always reportedly being the best in Edmonton. We definitely didn't have legs early. It was strange looking.
Yeah, I got an unfortunate, situation playing in a Skins game yesterday, a 5 hour round, and so hole 16, I plugged in my AirPod so I could listen to the game, and I mean listening to Nick Nixon and Daryl Evans, it was all Edmonton. They mentioned it several times. The Kings had no shots. I think six shot attempts. And like they gave him a courtesy shot at one point. It was like a wraparound.
Yep.
And so as I'm leaving the club, I get a text from a friend who's an Oiler fan, and she's like, "Man, I'd be so disappointed." Or she said something along the lines that she didn't want to be talking smack, but she was talking smack. And all I replied was rope-a-dope, because that just made me think of Muhammad Ali. Hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to just stand and take the punches and live to fight another day, which is kind of what they did, right? You said steal a game, you're rope-a-doping it when you're against a team. The Kings used to do that back in the early 2000s against the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit was so good when we had Dead Marsh and Allison and Stumple and those guys, Belanger. They would, they had to basically just weather the storm for that first 5 minutes. You knew you were going to get a call. You knew they were going to go on a power play with Holmstrom standing in net. It was just lethal. And that's what these guys are. They're lethal. And when they're in their own barn and it's loud and it's rocking, the ice is tilted against you. You know what I mean? We knew they were going to have to face some obstacles. Hey, we didn't win the game, but they showed a lot of what you want to see. They didn't go away. I think if we could get that third goal with Kapari at the end of the second period, it's a different game. I think we win. And, obviously I think Dursey wants to close that gap a little bit better, and Korpisalo wishes he had that puck in the third period. But I appreciate that. Great take, guys. Let's just take a quick look, and I think you guys should have the numbers somewhere in front of you. I'm going to run through some of the numbers statistically of the game, game two, and then I'd love to kind of hear some feedback if there's anything that stands out to you. All right. Game two by the numbers. Shots on goal, LA 24, Edmonton 37. Face-off percentage, LA 44%, Edmonton 56%. Power plays 0 for 4 for LA, 1 for 1 for Edmonton. Hits 52 LA, 60 Edmonton. Blocks 20 LA, 22 Edmonton. Giveaways 11 LA, 15 Edmonton. So of those statistics, Dustin, was there anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, I feel like every time I was watching Kopitar take a draw against Nick Bjugstad, he could not come through. It was just like every time we needed a draw, I just feel like Nick Bjugstad was just owning Kopitar in the dot. And I know you guys like to rib me about Kopitar taking Sunday strolls, and he doesn't have it anymore. But I still think for this playoff series, we're going to go as Kopitar goes. You saw that in game one. 4 points on the night. won 4-3 in overtime. Pretty solid in the faceoff dot. Last night I was looking it up. I forget the percentage. He was less than 50% at the dot. Yeah, he was 45% at the dot. So I'm just, just a more timely face-off wins from Kopitar would be, I think a huge. I know we'll go into what we want to see in Game 3 in a little bit, but I'm just looking for Kopitar to improve in the dot a little bit. And on top of that, Dano has been getting all the ice time against McDavid. Kopitar is getting very little against McDavid. So with that, I know Dano had a huge goal last night for us, which was awesome. But his primary responsibility of the series is going to be shutting down McDavid, and he's done a great job doing that. So Kopitar and Kempe, they're going to be carrying the load a little bit more. So I'm looking for Kopitar just to have a nice bounce back game in Game 3, and we'll touch on that a little bit more, I'm sure.
How much of the face-offs and face-off percentage do they take into account wing wins or D wins coming off the wall? Because I know that can be a huge help for possession.
For sure. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't do any research on that. I'm not sure where I would find that. I need to look into it a little bit more. But when I was watching just those two guys going head to head, I feel like Bukestad was winning it straight back. And he was owning that, especially like on the start of our power plays, like keeping it in the zone. Like when we are starting the power play, it's just a huge, especially without Fiala in the lineup. I feel like our power play entries are they are tough without having Kempe and Fiala on that first unit together. I feel like our entries with both those guys are seamless. Without those guys, it's a little bit tougher to get into the zone. So those draws are even more important, I feel like.
For sure. Some other statistics to take a look at: LA Kings ice time leaders by the numbers. Drew Doughty with 27 minutes and 23 seconds, almost half the game. Arvidsson was the leading forward for the Kings, 23 minutes and 22 seconds. I think it was almost 2 minutes higher than Kopitar. Edmonton's ice time leaders, Darnell Nurse on the back end, 26 minutes, 23 seconds. And then up front, Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid were almost the same. 21 minutes and some change for both of those players.
A little note on McDavid and Draisaitl's ice time real quick.
What's that?
They went with 11 forward. Just a little note on the McDavid and Draisaitl ice time really quick. Yeah. They went with 11 forward so that they can rotate those guys and get them a little bit even more ice time on that fourth line. So I'm curious to see if the Oilers will stick with that lineup set again.
Yeah, that's something that they do quite often, right? Is go with 7D and 11 forwards.
Yeah, and I think specifically this one was because of Matthias Janmark went out with a foot injury. He blocked a shot in Game 1 on the Oilers, and so they took him out of the lineup instead of replacing him with the forward. They just threw a D in there.
Hey guys, excellent. I want to quick add something here to the discussion. Just a quick special moment to our first guest on the King's Corner podcast, longtime Glacial Mass veteran beauty in many ways, Brian Jewell. Julesy, welcome to the King's Corner, baby. How we doing, bud?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. We got the split to Edmonton. That makes me super happy. Going in there with the streak those guys were on, I was a little bit worried. So getting out of there in Game 1 with W was huge. Didn't get it done in Game 2, but I am fantastically happy getting out of Edmonton with a split for sure. How are you?
Doing great, buddy. Thanks for hopping on. I was really stoked when I saw your comment. The first night we ran this thing, we were trying to figure out who was trying to hop on. It just said BJ, and yep. I'm working in middle school now. Jewel, you're a teacher. You know where I'm coming from. I see the letters BJ, and I'm thinking horrible things are coming.
I got you, Corey.
But I did the math. I went online and we figured out BJ stands for Brian Jewell. So
awesome.
I'm glad that you're here, buddy. Brian Jewell has been in the corner. He knows the corner well, and we've played a lot of hockey with Brian Jewell with Glacial Mass, and dude, so it's good to see you, buddy.
Hey, Brian, thanks for joining us here, man. I want to make sure that you're safe, but I would driving. So, keep your eyes on the road. But while you're doing so, give us a quick take on Game 2. What were some key takeaways for you?
Man, so just kind of overall, I was watching it kind of half sleeping. I caught it late coming from girls softball. But, the Oilers continue to put pressure on the Kings, which is just something I feel like the Kings are kind of talking to Dane Psyche actually today. So you guys might remember that name, but tell them the Kings are kind of like the counterpuncher right now. They're, even though they know what to expect, it's like the Oilers bring such an onslaught of talent with them early on in the games that it's just it seems like the Kings struggle to catch up with it. Once they get their footing, they start to build some momentum, which is good to see. And I feel like by the end of the games, they're pretty strong. I thought they kind of had the Oilers by the end of yesterday. That goal that went in at the end, Costin, I thought was stoppable. Obviously, I couldn't tell on that slow-mo replay if Durzee's knee caught just a tip of it. And Corey, I know that you're a goaltender a long time. You're reading that puck off the stick, and I felt like maybe just a little bit of a tip off that knee kind of threw Korpisalo off a little bit. But I'm real happy with the way the Kings are playing. But Edmonton just put so much pressure on. But I like to see the Kings are absorbing it, and they're figuring it out as the game goes along. I'm hoping that they don't take until the second period to find their footing in Game 3, though.
Do you think home ice advantage will help that situation?
That's the trick because I don't see a lot of home ice advantage going. A lot of the underdog teams or the teams that were on the road went ahead and took Game 1. I don't think are there any series right now. They're 2-0 after the home.
Carolina might be the only one so far.
Okay. Yeah, so I was listening to, and I think it might have been Jim Fox or Jared Stoll. They were talking the other day on one of the post-game shows, but they were talking about how home ice advantage isn't what it all used to be. And I agreed with their assertion on that because it seems like almost the road team comes in without the pressure on them, and they can come in a little bit more relaxed. And if they can steal a game, then they really do put the pressure on the team trying to hold serve at home, especially in these early rounds. So I don't know that it's going to really give the Kings much of an advantage going. I think they really just need to find their footing kind of when the puck drops originally. I think they just need to get on their horse, maybe try to put a little bit of pressure on Edmonton. My concern is they know how much firepower Edmonton has, and so I feel like they tend to sit back a little bit early in those games and say, okay, let's see what they've got. Let's assess the play, and let's try to match up with them and then take it over. And I'm curious to see if the Kings could just start with the game plan that they had in the second and third period from the last two games and just take the play to Edmonton kind of before they get going. And I don't know if, obviously they got the change at home. They can match up a little bit better if they want to. Not sure how much McClellan's going to utilize that, but, I think it's just a mindset of the team almost coming in and saying, hey, we played them really strongly in the second and third periods of both games. Let's get that mindset going for period one and see if we can take it to them and really show them, really dictate the game to the Oilers.
I love it. I think it's kind of funny you coming in after we kind of started this, and you really reiterated a lot of things that we talked about. We were talking about rope-a-dope, and you came in talking about being a counterpuncher, and that directly lined up what we were talking about earlier. And then I my big takeaway was I thought we looked like our legs were in quicksand early on in the game, and like you were saying, we got to find our game sooner. Josh was talking about 40-minute effort. It's not good enough. We need to get a 60-minute effort. And like you're saying, same thing. We gotta come out playing like we did the last two periods at opening puck drop. So, Julesy, you're spot on. I think we're kind of all on the same page with what we've seen so far.
Yep, exactly. Well, you guys are doing a fantastic job. I'm loving this podcast. I'm loving the Kings focus on it. This is some great content. You guys all know your hockey super well. I'm hoping that more people see it. You can get it out there a little bit because this is just gold, especially in Southern California with the fan base we've got. There's no offense to the Kings fans out there, there's just not a lot of hockey that a lot of fans have played. They're kind of coming into the game a little bit secondhand or experiencing the game just as a fan. So bringing this kind of Kings focus to it with all the game experience that you guys have and all the all the game knowledge and all the hockey knowledge that your family has, it's fantastic. I love that you guys are bringing it out there, and keep it going. I want this thing to blow up and get as big as it can because it is good stuff.
Oh, dude, I love to hear it, buddy.
That's awesome, man. Thanks, bro.
Yeah, thanks for being
the
first official guest, bro. That's a good thing.
Yeah, hey, that is awesome. I am honored to be the first guest.
Jules, you're the
awesome,
man, bud. Where are you
guys are
driving
awesome.
to right now?
I'm headed to a men's softball game. Actually, I popped on Facebook. I saw the link. I was like, I got to get on with these guys. They're
Yeah.
freaking on fire. You guys are awesome.
Well, I love it, Jules. You're the man. Thanks for hopping on, dude, and go hit some dingers.
Yeah,
Hey,
hit some
sounds
dingers,
good.
Julesy.
Thanks, guys. I look forward to seeing the rest of the podcast tomorrow whenever you guys post it. I'm going to watch it tomorrow for sure.
I love it.
All right, you guys are the best. Go Kings. Let's take it in 6. I think 6. Let's go Kings. Let's do it.
I love it, baby. Go Kings, go, Julesy.
That's right. Go Kings, go. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Joel.
See you guys. Great job. Keep up the good work. See you guys.
You're the man.
Good job.
Dude, that's epic. That's so epic. So heading that just having a guest come in live, he's driving and has a hot take that just lines up perfectly with exactly what we said. I think that's one thing that's nice about the Kings fan base is that especially hockey fans, how they you've got a passion and a love, but also like when you're connected with the community that has something that's driving you all together and pulling for, like how special is that, right? It doesn't matter where you are. I'm in Spokane, Washington. You guys are in SoCal. Jules in SoCal. It just that's I think the beautiful thing about sports and what professional sports can do for bringing people together. And we got to politics and all that bullshit aside, dude, the Kings, we're all pulling for the Kings, you know what I mean? So that's awesome. Dustin looks like he's frozen. Oh, you were frozen for a sec. Looked like you were gonna sneeze. It was hilarious. All right, so getting back to the numbers, Core, I'm going to have you dive in on the goaltending numbers. It looked like save percentage-wise, Korpisalo and Skinner were both at a 0.917 save percentage. Obviously, shot differential was quite substantial. Korpisalo saw 36 shots with 33 saves, and Skinner saw 24 shots with 22 saves. What was your looking at those numbers, and then maybe just a quick take on the goaltending and how, if you saw anything that, stood out to you?
Well, I think both goalies overall have played pretty well for each respective club. Their performances have been a little bit different, right? You got Korpisalo, who's a little bit more of a veteran coming in, who both games kind of got behind early, but then just wasn't affected by it and was able to just kind of lock it down. Whereas Skinner, both games seemed to kind of come out and start off real strong. And then, once he let one in, then the second came, then another came. So the numbers wise, probably, looking pretty identical, pretty similar. They've been 1-goal games, right? Both games. So not a whole lot there. Maybe, I don't know, would you say both goalies, maybe 1 goal they want back? I don't know if Skinner wants more than 1 back, if Korpisalo wants more than 1 back. Going into, okay, we just kind of jump into goalies here more. Julie was just talking about it. That last goal, the game-winning goal against Korpisalo, yeah, he's going to want that back. But just having seen that situation, you got Dursey there. Yeah, he needs a better gap. Would have loved to seen him go a little bit more stick on puck. If you're gonna be right in front of between the goalie and the shooter, when you got your own guy playing that way and off a little bit, you don't see the release. Timing's everything when you're playing goalie and making saves, right? You get used to a rhythm. You base everything off of seeing that release where the puck's coming from, when it's coming, where it's going. And when you got a defenseman like that, they're shooting a black puck. Dursey's wearing black breezers. You can't see where the puck's coming from when it's coming. By the time you track it, it's coming on you quick, and you're reacting late. You know what I mean? And that's why the puck gets by you in those situations. You don't pick it. You don't have a chance to pick it up, make that read. Yeah, I would love to hear, what Corpy saw there. If you just kind of missed it, maybe Joel brought up. Maybe he did get a little bit of a tip off of shin guard or stin can cause some drop, some rise. Any type of movement on a puck, whether it's going up or down a little bit. You only need a little bit of change to throw a goalie off, but
it was a well placed shot too. I mean, above the pad, below the glove, right up inside the post. I mean,
no doubt. And by the time he shot that, he was inside the circle. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like he was, way on the boards or anything like that.
It was inside the circle shot, perfectly placed through a screen.
Yeah. So
He made some.
I think I can't ask for anything more so far from Corpusalo. Given the guy
So, okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I think he's gave us a chance to win both games. I like the fact that we've humanized Skinner a little bit. He came into this series just on a heater, winning goalie of the month for the month heading into playoffs. I'm glad that we've gotten some early. The longer the Kings seem to go historically without storing goals, we can, make goalies bigger than they actually are. So I'm glad we've kind of brought him down to earth a little bit. And I think overall goaltending has been pretty equal. I love the battle in Corpusalo.
Excellent. Hey guys, let's close out here on game 2. Any final parting thoughts on game 2?
Hop in here just because for as far as the statistics go, easy for me to say. So I'm a Kopitar struggles in the faceoff dot guy, especially within our group checks. I say that a bunch, and maybe he did struggle in the faceoff dot last night. What was it, 45%, Dust?
Yeah.
I think he particularly struggles with Bukestad. I mean, that big Bukestad has a big, strong body in there. But here's a slight disagreement with Dust's take on the face. I actually thought he did win some crucial draws there in the final 2 minutes, which were real helpful. And we actually had a chance to as good of a chance as you can get there with Doughty shot, and they eventually cleared it, got the empty. So this is very anecdotal, and obviously I didn't play at a super high level, very low level junior, but when I did play, I played center. And I found for me on the backhand side, I could win a lot of draws. But on the forehand side, I particularly struggled. And I think the reason I struggled on the forehand, they actually got to a point where I wouldn't even take draws on the forehand side. I would have my winger or whoever is on the backhand take that draw, because it's not as if win or lose, we still don't know what position we are. So I think on the forehand side, it requires a bit of a strongman game, let's say, and it kind of got to drive through the guy and take the body, and I think that's how you win faceoffs on the forehand side. It's not as if on a backhand it's a quick hands game. So with Kopitar, I'm not suggesting he's not strong. I believe he is strong, but I don't think he wants to play that strongman game. So I don't know if he struggled on the forehand or backhand or not, but I think that might be something that you got Byfield out there. So if he wants to take the proper hand side draw, let's say, I think that's something that you could look into. As far as the giveaways, it's shocking to me that we only had 11. Now, hypothetically, if Sean Dursey was to listen to this podcast, listen, bud, Durs, I'm a Sean Dursey mark. I hope we're going to get to this, I presume. I hope they keep you in the lineup for game 3. But the 11 giveaways is a little bit shocking because I thought Sean had 11 on his own. It was sort of a Sean Dursey disaster class. But shots with 37-24, I believe, that's kind of, all things considered, that looks to me like we sort of wrote the ship, so to speak, considering that we were so far behind in the first period. So I think the statistics happen to be an accurate representation of the game.
Good call. Well said. So let's take a quick shift here, shift the mindset from game 2. Now you're headed back to LA. You're heading back to LA. You got the split in Edmonton. Obviously, that's a great situation to be in, right? What is the LA Kings mindset going into game 3? And then we'll jump into who we think the starters are going to be for the lineup, and then key players to keep an eye out for. Dust, I'll have you start us off.
Any guesses on what the score of game 3 was last year?
My memory
I
is
looked
gone.
it up. I had to look it up. We lost 8-2. 8-2. That's what it came to my mind when Julesy was talking how we've done a little bit better, just kind of holding strong. We looked a little slow, obviously, in the first period of game 2, but I think the Kings know that they cannot get into just this track meet with the Oilers, because they lost game 2 last year 6-0. They lost game 3 last year 8-2, and those are just, they really had to just reset, and they came back and played well the next couple of games. So just looking at game 3, I think the Kings are better than they were last year, and I think they're going to respond in game 3. Well, obviously, I mean, we can talk about the lineup in a little bit, if and when we get Fiala back, I think that's just going to make our lineup even deeper. And that fourth line, I don't think they played up to what their abilities are in game 2. I'm just looking to see them improve going into game 3. And I hope Todd continues to trust them. That they're going to need to be trusted if the Kings want to make any sort of deep run in these playoffs. The young guys on the fourth line got to be trusted. And, I'm looking forward to them, getting the chance to respond. I know we give Kupari a hard for, thinking too fast, or, maybe he can't, think as fast as he moves, but I do like what he brings. And there's sometimes I see him getting bumped up to the third line. So I want to see those guys continue to get the opportunities to grow and to rise to the occasion. I think they will.
Nice. Josh?
Yeah, so I don't know what exactly do you do differently? Because with that, I opened the pod by saying, the analytics guys, they would say the game plan is not to get down 2-0. So what do you do to avoid that? Because you don't want to do that. We want to get the lead, stack the neutral zone, and play Kings hockey, quote unquote. But so still no Fiala, and I don't. As far as I can tell, it doesn't look like there's any good news coming in the near future. It looks like we might have to contend with the rest of the series without Kevin Fiala, which means that our game plan sort of has to stay the same. With Fiala in there, I would feel like we could take more chances because we're just so much deeper even with one guy, which, if I might digress, Marv's analogy of the Kings Detroit series back in the 2000s it's almost similar, except for when we played Detroit, it looked like we didn't belong on the same ice. But what happened was, I think sometimes we forget this, they lost Yzerman and Shanahan. And then that sort of opened the door for us to compete a little bit more. But I guess I only say that to say this: one or two guys does make a difference, and Fiala being out is hurtful. If he was in the lineup, it would be very beneficial for us to change the dynamic of our game. But I would still say, so what Gabe on power play 1, I think, is a necessity. As much IFL scored the OT winner, obviously, but I think our power play is so much better with high-end skill of Gabe Velarde. And so I don't know how many lineup alterations you make. I say this again. I hope when I see guys struggle like that, and guys who are so obviously talented in Sean Dursey, I want to see him get another crack at it, because he's got a little piss and vinegar to his game, a little venom, and I think he responds pretty well. So I hope, because he's getting crucified on Twitter, by the way. So I hope that he proves the doubters wrong. I hope they give a second kick at the can, so to speak.
Yeah. Great take, Josh. Core, what's the mindset headed into game 3?
I think at the end of the day, the Kings are happy with the split. I don't know that they're fully happy with their 60-minute effort. I think they're probably aware of that, I think that they would be proud of the way that they stuck with it, didn't give up, and they kind of try to absorb the blows and take what came at them, take what happened, and bend not break. And they were definitely they played a pretty proud game as far as not going away, right? That's what good teams do. They're going to have more of the same. I think ultimately you're coming home, that you did your job. You got one on the road. Oh man, it would have really been nice to get that second one. I think they had a real shot. But coming home, Gabe Velarde's back. He needs to be on the first power play, in my opinion. I don't think we had any power play goals, Josh, you said, in that game 2. You could say that last power play led to Velarde's goal, because I don't think the whistle blew from the time the power play ended to Velarde's goal. But yeah, he's back. I'm not sure what's going on with Fiala. I'm wondering if they're thinking long-term with him, or what the take is. If this guy tried to come back the same game he hurt his knee, and then he tried to come back the next game. Either they were really, really dumb early on with his injury, and they should have just sat him, or they're now looking at it as, let's be realistic where we're at now. I'm not sure. I'm really curious to where the Kings think they're at with this whole thing, and the team they have this year versus the team they think they might have in the next couple years. But going into game 3, let's I think I think the matchups do matter a little bit, right? Like we get to Griffmeister.
Griffey.
Let's go,
Can you
Griffey.
say hi? Can you say go Kings? Oh, you don't have your Kings shirt on. He had his Kings. Sarah's been great about getting him in his Kings gear.
That a
love it.
Go
boy.
Kings. This guy, all he wants to do is play hockey.
Yes, absolutely.
That's our second guest on the podcast.
That's
There
right,
we go.
Griffmeister.
Let's go, Griff.
I think that we actually, like, man, Dust, we were talking about this with Josh and Dal. There were times where, like, I didn't really notice McDavid that much, and it seemed like Deneau's doing a great job already.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I think that's just a testament to the Deneau line. They've been just playing really responsible hockey against him. The only point he has is the power play assist,
Yeah,
the seam pass, and I don't know where Lazat and I forget who else is killing that penalty. They were not covering that seam.
yeah.
I got to hop in here, guys, and then I've got to head out. But I rewatched that cross seam pass. That's a threading the needle like I've never seen before. It goes literally
just a
through
good type of
Lazat's
stick, good play.
skates. It was the most sick pass, a laser beam, and then obviously Draisaitl, Corey does this thing where he talks about guys' bubble, how big their bubble is, like a video game when you pass the puck. Draisaitl, dude, the guy's amazing. That was you can't defend against that when it's perfect. It was perfect. I just want to give a quick take before I head out, guys, and you guys can wrap it up. Depth is going to be the key. Okay, look, we know that our top players on both teams are really good. Edmonton's depth guys showed up and they got on the score sheet last game. Derek Ryan gets a goal and Costin gets a goal. And to me, that's the difference. That's the difference. Kapari hits the post. And I really think the guy's body language looks like a beat dog a little bit from McClellan calling him out in the media when he couldn't finish. And I think McClellan, you know what? He's not a goal scorer, dude. Look at the guy's historical stats. He's a great hockey player, but the fact that he's getting you offense is great. Don't beat the guy down because you need him to contribute and shut their depth guys down. Okay. If you can get a goal from your depth guys, like an Iafallo, a Lazat, Grunstrom, that's fantastic. That's where you're going to win the games. But man, let's lift those guys up because that's where the difference is. In my opinion, heading into game 3, stay positive with where you're at, stay totally present, and then just capitalize on the moment. Don't look too far. Don't look back. Be right where you are right now, and you're gonna have to endure. And so I think that's the key. Overcome whatever comes your way. We don't know what that's gonna look like, but by the way, guys, this just came in the mail. I know this isn't Kings related, but
Can't see it.
Blocked by your playoffs. Hole in
Hole in
one.
one,
Oh,
hey!
let's go.
Welcome to the club.
cool.
It was
All right,
getting
guys.
lonely there for a while.
Golf clap.
man,
Golf
you know?
clap. Hey, I'm in the hole in 3 club with you, Core.
Oh, he left. I
was gonna ask him if you blew it in the hole. And there's like a second stroke.
Too bad we didn't get to chirp him a little bit more. He had to roll.
All right, Joshy, why don't you take over and
Well, sure.
we'll wrap this up.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. We can do it. I kind of like player assessments. And one thing I was thinking about while y'all were talking is because I feel like I have to be honest about this. My assessment of Jonas Korpisalo is all through the lens of how I would react if Jonathan Quick made or let in the same shot. And when it comes to that third shot, how would I react if Jonathan Quick let that one in? I would be pretty disappointed in that. But that's not to say because the game could have been 5-rip without Jonas Korpisalo anyhow. Let's do a quick player assessment for even heading into game 3. Dusty, what do you think about the top 4? Doughty, Mikey, Gavrikov, Roy?
Dude, I think it's honestly a really deep top 4 that they've been playing up to what my expectations are. And Gavrikov, I think he solely flipped the script in game 1. That play that he made back checking to stop the 2-on-1 with McDavid, to create that poke check to go the other way for Kempe to score that backhand. And I don't know if you guys caught this last night, but he was a flutter of a puck away from tying the game up 3-3. He was wheeling in the O zone. The rebound came right out to him in the slot. He's always looking to attack kind of on the backside, which I just love that part of his game. And he was very close to tying that game. But the top 4 has been really incredible. And Mikey, I mean, he's the one who pinched out the half on the left half wall keep that puck low for Kempe to denote to get us on the score sheet last night to start. So the top four has been fantastic. I really think is just, and we probably all agree on this one, when we got to play that last pair, I mean, it's scary. And I hope going into game 3 we can protect those guys a little bit more, having the last change. But again, the kind of the dynamic I brought up of them putting McDavid and Draisaitl double shifting that fourth line, they're going to have to be out there against those guys at some point, and they're going to have to step up if we want to do anything in this series.
Sure, yeah. So, Marv, obviously, if you have anything on that top four, shoot. But I was going to throw the bottom pair your way, and what you think about what are we going to do with the Edler, Dursey, Walker trio, and what do you think we should do moving forward?
Oh man, it's a great question. I think we've kind of all seen the same thing. I'd be really curious what the Kings coaching staff is thinking, feeling, or what their game plan is. It's probably not easy. What do you as we've seen so far, it's been one of Walker or Edler has to be in at all times, right? At least that's kind of seems to be their game plan. I love Bjornfoot. His confidence has seemed to gone down this year. We haven't had him a whole lot. Is putting in him and they're going to help anything at this point? I don't know. Edler's foot speed is just not there, right? He's got some size, he's got some reach. Obviously, he's got a lot of experience. But yeah, when those guys get out there, it's tough. So the matchups are going to have to be huge. What are you guys' thoughts? And what if we brought in Jordan Spence right now instead of is Jordan Spence a right-hand shot, Dusty?
Yeah, he is, and he's playing in the Rain playoffs right now. They're in Colorado, so if they lose their next game, I'm sure they'll bring him in just to kind of
have him be there.
Yeah, to be with the squad. But even if they bring Spence in, I can't see them taking Edler out of the lineup unless maybe he re-aggravates his injury and they have to play two righties on the the bottom two. But
Dursey's been playing on the offside, right? A lot of this year.
Yeah. So can you go Durs and Spence on the back?
My biggest worry is if they go Walker, Edler, they go back to that. Dursey didn't have a good game. I think he's such a passionate guy that maybe he did get a little bit overhyped at times. And I don't know, if it's playing with Edler or just a big moment. He's playing against a lot of really good players, but I really like what Josh said the other day. I think a guy like that is the kind of guy that cares. His give a crap meter is super high, and I think I do see him as the kind of player that he could pop one tomorrow night. Yep. I really do think that he could. So I think we stick with it. I don't think that I don't think we make any changes on the back end right now. The changes that I would want to make aren't going to happen. So
not going to happen. You got to be realistic.
Yeah.
To bail Dursey out a little bit, he was trying to get off the ice before that third goal. I'm not sure if you guys saw, but they kind of kept coming back into the D zone and they couldn't break the neutral zone. And they're kind of in the middle of a line change, and he was heading towards the bench. And then we turned the puck over. Kaliev couldn't get the puck deep.
Yeah.
Right. So then he's stuck. Mindset, just trying to get off the ice. Now I got this guy coming at me full speed. And I was just personally hoping he would just, stay upright, play the stick on puck. And that was my biggest thing. But to kind of bail him out a little bit, I think his mindset was I'm getting off the ice, and then he had to turn and play defense again. Also at the end, I thought Drew had a good chance to get the puck to net. I thought he was going to Dursey to get a shot from the top point because it looked like he had that lane. And I love Dursey shooting from the top. He just seems to have a good knack for getting the puck through. And so in the moment, I was thinking Doughty was going there. I think Draisaitl jumped the lane just a little bit, which changed Drew's mind. But
hey, so I don't want to keep you guys all night, but here's something I was thinking about when it comes to inserting Spence into the lineup, and then you have one of Spence, Walker, or Dursey. I think that they think that if we don't have Edler, then we're severely undersized. But it's not as if Edler is playing a big game right now anyhow. So for me, it doesn't really – those three, Spence, Walker, Dursey, they can skate at least, and I think that might be more beneficial than for this series in particular with the Edler thing. I feel like is going to struggle against that Edmonton Oilers team. I want to throw an interesting hypothetical towards you guys. I don't know the logistics of it. Hypothetically, if the Barrie Colts lose, would you insert Brandt Clark straight away?
The want to see exciting, fun things happen part of me, heck yeah, I would throw him in. The realistic side of me that thanks to the lens of the coaching staff, I don't think there's a chance they would throw him in. They may bring him in as a black ace, but I don't think they would pop him in.
What would you do if you're the coach of the Kings, Marv? Throwing Brant Clark in there?
I was thinking about it last night. That's for sure. I mean, what's the? I don't know, man. If you swap spots right now, well, Brant Clark's a righty too, ain't he?
Yeah, he is.
We got an overabundance of right-handed defensemen out of nowhere, right? So yeah, I would love to have him in there, obviously. If we're talking about like a liability, like when you bring in somebody who's inexperienced, right? You worry about them being exposed. You worry about them, the moment being too big for them. I don't know, man. When Edler's out there, it looks like the other team is just they're too fast for him. You know what I mean? So it's tough, but maybe he's a calming influence on the bench, definitely in the locker room. He blocked a couple good shots. I guess I never really, haven't seen him get beat like 1-on-1, super clear yet. I think the puck on the first goal yesterday kind of bounced off him.
Yeah, it did. You're right.
And then honestly, that Ryan guy, I think he fanned on his shot and the puck happened to go 5-hole. We just got to have, I think the Kings are in a good spot. I really do. I don't think they need to change a whole lot. It'd be great to add Fiala. I think you just kind of keep it status quo right now. Believe in the guys that you have. I think the fourth line, keep going, dude. Just let's see them try to have a bounce back game too. Maybe they'll get a more favorable matchup with the home ice change. Maybe they can. We're gonna have the crowd on our side now. So every hit, every body Grunstrom or Kupari throws, the crowd's gonna get into it. And that alone, that type of momentum, may be something that can fuel our other lines and get something going off of some things that are more simplistic that might not sound really jump out at us on the road when the ice is tilted, but maybe at home, little things that line does will make a bigger difference.
Yeah, so that's very good, Marv. This is where I was headed with this before we wrap up. Let's call it a closing statement here, a final statement. Dusty, obviously we want to win. I mean, that goes without saying. So I'm going to throw this to you, Dusty, then I'll throw it back to you, Marv. Win or lose, is there something that you want to see us do coming up for your game 3? Something that whether we win or lose is something we can go, okay, you know what? I want to see this happen regardless.
Yeah, I want to get on the scoreboard first. Let's get that first one and see what it's like. Just be able to play our game with a little bit of confidence and not have to be chasing the game. And I think you hit on it earlier. Like, we played 40 minutes in game 2 and had a legit chance to win that game. You imagine we played a full 60? I think we're so substantially better than we were last year. And, the Oilers were the hottest team in the league coming into the series. And I think the Kings have really shown we don't care. We can play with you guys. So let's just put a full 60 together and let's get on the scoreboard first and see what that does for us.
I think that's perfect. Marv?
I love Gabe Vilardi. More Vilardi. That's what I want done in game 3. Let's get him on the top power play. And, let's hope he's adjusted. He seemed to be moving around a lot better later in the game. I get that it's, that early on, maybe McClellan was doing the right thing by easing him into it, I suppose. But he's got the taste for the back of the net, dude. That guy knows how to score. Let's get him out there. Let's get him on the power play unit. We need to score power play goals to beat these guys. And I think that I don't care, it is what it is. They got to put Vilardi on the first top power play unit.
I agree with both those takes. I think those are very 60-minute effort. As far as I'm with Dusty at both takes, I want win or lose. I don't want to see us compete out there for 60 minutes. I don't want a repeat of last year, Dusty, where we get blown out 8-2. I don't see that. I don't envision that coming at all. Obviously, I think Corby Salo I think we got an elite venue back there, and I love our top 4. So I don't envision that happening. But win or lose, they have 2 of the best players in the world. I want to see us compete for a full 60 and see what happens. So, okay, boys, if there's any last words, feel free. But other than that, thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 3 of King's Corner. Game 3 coming up Friday night, 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Go, Kings, go. Let's take it. Let's take it to 2-1 series lead. Thanks,
hey, boys.
for watching.
Hey,
Let's
thanks. Hey,
go.
Joshy, real quick before we go, and maybe I just messed up the exit. We're going to have our first game in the corner of the series. I think we got the ace in the hole. The podcast, someone's going to be there from the crew. Let's do what we did in the old days and think that we have an actual effect on the outcome of the game.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
All right, boys. I love you
All
guys.
right. Yeah, love you too. Peace out.
Bye, guys.